Good morning, children. Till now, we have seen the plants preparing their own food material by the process called as photosynthesis, which we also call them as autotrophic nutrition. It's a best example for the autotrophic nutrition because they are preparing their food material without depending upon any other organism for their survival. And the second type of nutrition which we are going to study today is heterotrophic nutrition. Now, what are heterotrophs? Heterotrophs are the organisms which cannot prepare their food material and they depend upon the other organisms for their food material. So, this heterotrophic nutrition can be divided into three different types. The first one is parasitic nutrition, second one is saprophytic nutrition, and third one is Holozoic nutrition. So, we'll see one by one with the examples. Now, heterotrophs, you need to keep in your mind that they cannot prepare their food material and they will depend upon the other organisms for their food. And if you take some of the plants, they also cannot prepare the food material because they don't have the chlorophyll in them. So as they don't have the chlorophyll in them, they cannot prepare the food material and they will depend upon the other organisms for their survival. That's why even some of the plants are also called as the heterotrophs. So now we'll start with the three different types of heterotrophic nutrition. Shall we go ahead? Okay. First one we will read is about saprophytes. Saprophytes are the organisms which depend upon the dead and decaying matter. So they depend upon the dead and decaying matter and they get their nutrients. It's all about saprophytic nutrition. What is nutrition? The intake of nutrients is called as nutrition. How they get the nutrients to survive is all about saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytes are the organisms which depend upon the other organisms for their food material. Now they grow on the dead and decaying matter. So whatever the dead and decaying matter is there, they will grow on them. For example, you might have seen the mushrooms. Where they will grow? They grow on the logs. They grow on the dead and decaying logs. You might have seen the molds growing on that. You can take the examples of the yeast. All these are examples of the saprophytes. Saprophytes, they cannot consume the solid food. If they grow on some particular place, they will release the digestive enzymes. There are some enzymes in our body which will digest the food material. They will convert the complex food into simple food substances. So these digestive enzymes are released outside and they digest the food which is outside and convert that into liquid form so that the yeast or the mushrooms or the saprophytes, they will directly absorb that food into its body. And this nutrition, this method of nutrition is called as saprophytic nutrition. What is this method called as? Saprophytic nutrition. The second one is parasitic nutrition. Parasites are the organisms which cannot prepare their food material but they live in the other host and they get their food material. They will make the other organisms as their host. For example, you can see the lice. Lice stays in the head and gets the nutrients. You can see the bacteria which stays in our body and gets the nutrients. You can take the example of the tapeworm which lives in the body, in our body, in the body of the animals and get their food material. Because they cannot prepare their food material, they will depend upon the other organism and will remain as guests in our body. They will make our body as a host. Tapeworm not only lives in the body, it stays in the body, lives in the host body, but also creates a problem to the organisms in which they are living. They are harmful to they harm the organisms in which they are living. So parasites are those organisms which live in the body of a host and harms them. You can take the example of several organisms like tapeworm, like roundworm, like lice. All these organisms, they depend upon the other organisms for their food material. So this is about the parasitic nutrition. Parasites are the organisms which live in the body of a host and feed on them and also harm those organisms. That is why they are called as parasites. And the third one is the Holozoic nutrition. When you're talking about the Holozoic nutrition, they undergo 5 steps. Holozoic nutrition requires 5 steps, and don't get confused, we'll go one by one. The first is ingestion. Ingestion is taking the food inside the mouth. So ingestion is the first part, and second part is digestion. So whatever the food which is digested, that should be, whatever the food is taken, ingested, that should be digested. So once it is digested, then it should be absorbed by the body. So once it absorbed by the body, it should be sent to the different places, assimilated to the different places where it is required, and then the last, releasing the or sending out the waste material from the body, which we call it as digestion. So what are the 5 things which are in the, what are the 5 things? First one, ingestion. Second one is digestion. Third one is absorption. Fourth one is assimilation. Fifth one is digestion. So these are the 5 things which are usually seen in the Holozoic nutrition. So the best examples of the Holozoic nutrition you can take is the amoeba and Paramecium. In amoeba, you can see, you know that amoeba is completely shapeless. It stays in any shape. So this amoeba has extensions which are called as pseudopodia. We have already learned in the lower classes regarding this, isn't it? So this amoeba has the extensions which are known as pseudopodia, and these extensions will help to capture the food material so that they can get the nutrients. So once they capture the food, see this pseudopodia, now if this is a food material, the pseudopodia will increase its size, okay, and completely capture the food material. So this is how pseudopodia comes, and they will capture the food material, and once the food material enters the body, they will get closed, and now this food material becomes a food vacuole because there is a layer of water around it, so it becomes a food vacuole, and now the digestion will take place in this food vacuole. So this vacuole will, this food will be digested inside the vacuole, and after the digestion, it will be absorbed. What are the food minerals are there in the, what are the required food minerals are there here, they will be absorbed, and then the things which are required for the body, they will be given to different places and they will be assimilated. And then whereas whatever the remains are there, whatever the dead and whatever the waste materials are there which are not used by the body, they will be thrown out of the body to the body surface. So this is called as the digestion. So the first one is ingestion, second one is digestion, third one is absorption of the nutrients, and fourth one is assimilation, and the fifth one is digestion. So all these 5 things will happen in the body of a amoeba. So this is how amoeba's digestion will take place. And next is Paramecium. The next one is Paramecium. The next example of the Holozoic nutrition is Paramecium. Here there are so many cilia or head-like, thread-like structures on the body surface of the parasite. The whole this is a unicellular organism, and this whole body is filled with the thread-like structures which will help in the locomotion. It will help them to move from the one place to the other because they live in the water. And not only that, but also they will help them to gather the food material. So they will help them to gather the food material, and that is how they get the food material. So they keep on moving, and they'll gather the food material, and they'll send the food material through this part which is called as the oral groove. So this oral groove, after that it will be sent into the gullet, and then they will enter inside the body and they will form into a food molecule. They will come into a contact with the water molecule, and then they will form a food molecule. And now this traveling of the food molecule will start like this. They'll keep on moving. And one at a time they will get attached with the lysosome. You know what is lysosome? We have read in the cell organelles, right? Lysosomes are the structures which has the digestive enzymes. They supply the digestive enzymes to the food vacuole, and the food is completely digested in the food vacuole. So it keeps on going. Once the digestion is completed, all the things which are there in the things will be absorbed, and then they will be sent out. They will be assimilated to the different parts of the body, and then whatever the waste material is there, that will be sent out, and they will be they will be sent out through a special pore, which is, and they will come out through a special pore which is called as the anal pore. So this anal pore will leave the waste material outside. So here also we can see the same 5 things, that is ingestion, digestion, absorption, okay, and also we can see the assimilation and then egestion. All these things are also done in the paramecium. So paramecium is also the best example of Holozoic nutrition. So by this we complete the 3 different kinds of nutrition. What's the first one? Saprophytic nutrition, dead and decaying, or the organisms which depend upon the dead and decaying material. Second one is the parasitic, which live in our body and harm us. They depend upon, they get help from our body, but still they will harm our body. And third one is, as we have seen, this is the Holozoic nutrition. Like they will have the 5 steps. First one is ingestion, second digestion, third absorption, fourth assimilation, and fifth egestion. So all these 3 are the different types of digestion, kinds of modes of nutrition which takes place in the different animals. So now after that we will be going ahead with the plant called as Cuscuta. We have also seen that even plants, some of the plants are not able to prepare their food material. They depend upon the other organisms for their food material. So what are those? We are going to see them now. Okay. So there are some plants which are heterotrophs, which depend upon the other plants for their food material, and one of them is Cuscuta. We will see a plant which is called as the dodder plant. Dodder plant is a heterotroph. It depends upon the other plants for their food material, and this dodder plant belongs to a species which is called as Cuscuta, and there are some 170 species in this genus. So all these organisms, as they cannot prepare their food material, they depend upon the other organisms or other plants for their food material. Now this dodder plant grows in a area. They will have a root. Now we'll take this as a, okay children, now we'll take this as a plant, and when a dodder plant grows, okay, it has a root, and this will grow out, and it grows out, and it keeps on finding out for a host plant. So it twines around the host plant like this. When it finds a plant, it twines around the host plant, and also it will produce some thread-like structures which are called as the hostoria. And all these hostoria, now if this is a stem, they will enter into the plant. All the hostoria which are there on this dodder plant will enter into the stem, and they will keep on sucking the juices. The xylem and phloem are the two vascular bundles which are present in the plant. Xylem will carry the water and minerals to the leaves, and phloem will carry the prepared food material to different parts of the body. So some hostoria, they will enter into the xylem, and some will enter into the phloem, and they'll keep on sucking the juices, and they will depend on them, and they will live on that. That is how they acquire the nutrients. And now once it gets attached to that, this root, which is a temporary root, will get disintegrated and also will disappear, and there will be no more root, and now they will make this its own plant, and when they will attack the plant in such a way that many times these plants are killed. So this is how a dodder plant will get its nutrients from the other plants for its survival. Now why this is happening? Why the dodder plant is depending upon the other plant for its survival? Because there is no chlorophyll in this plant. The leaves doesn't contain the chlorophyll, and even the leaves are also reduced to very, very small scales. And as they don't have the chlorophyll, and because of the absence of chlorophyll, the plants cannot prepare their food material. So as the plants are not able to prepare their food material 100%, they have to depend upon the other organism for their food material. That is why they are depending upon the other plants for their food material. So this is the survival. This is a mode of nutrition. This is also a mode of heterotrophic nutrition which is seen in the plants. So plants also, if they don't have chlorophyll, they depend upon the other organisms for their food material. So we shall stop here, and tomorrow we'll see the digestion. Okay, see you tomorrow.